Our stock of the day, it's a focus on energy, and oh my goodness, woke up this morning to hear the news that Australia's fuel crisis had deepened with the fire breaking out at Viva Energy's Geelong oil refinery. So stock of the day is Viva Energy. Now, firefighters had been battling the fire at the Corio plant, which can process 120,000 barrels a day of oil, and is one of the only two refineries still operating in Australia, the other one being Ampol's Lytton refinery in Queensland. Energy Minister Chris Bowen saying there would be an impact on production of fuel from the refinery, saying at this point production of jet fuel and diesel is continuing at the refinery at reduced levels for safety reasons as a precaution. Viva also operating 1,300 Shell petrol stations across the country, running a fuel and oil distribution network that supplies 25% of Australia's fuel, also the sole Australian manufacturer of aviation fuel. Viva saying the fire is now under control, but its stock is in a trading halt. And Macquarie analysts warning the disruption could last from several weeks to potentially months, depending on the extent of the damage. It's estimating the earnings impact could range from about 20 million in EBITDA in a short disruption scenario to around 70 million in a 3-month outage before insurance and substitution effects. So it's obviously done very well, particularly over the course of the war and the energy crisis that's unfolded across the globe. So what do our experts think about Viva Energy? Howard, let's start with you.
Well, even before we heard that the fire had broken out, Viva Energy wasn't a company that passed our filters. Its return on equity on average has been well below 10%, which is our minimum requirement. So it's the sort of company that Teaminvest members would look at and say, well, it sounds like a good story that it's very important now that we have the problems in the Middle East. But in actual fact, this company's not going to be a wealth winner. So I can't imagine any Teaminvest members seriously at any stage considered owning it. And now, of course, they'd be even less likely to want to if it was possible to be less than zero. But I'm sure Bowen will, in the next few days, reassure us that between wind energy and solar energy, we're not going to have a problem, because after all, these fossil fuels are never going to really make a difference in the world, because we transform into all this free stuff. You know, the wind towers are free, the solar panels are free, they don't cause any environmental damage. When you've got to remove them, they don't cause any environmental damage. And of course, we're going to be powered entirely, absolutely free. It's going to be so cheap, it'll be wonderful.
However, you're actually talking about reality or not. Howard, interesting take. Okay, Jonathan, how do you see it?
Okay, so my take is that, in the Teams chat, it was put on there, and I just went, oh wow, that's a bit of a coincidence, it just seems a little sus. But my first reaction was to just fill up. So that was, I messaged a few of the guys, just like, look, not that, you'll see the immediate impact, but my thought was just, look, let's just fill up.
Well, it's going to be more acutely felt in the southern states, Victoria and Tasmania.
Yeah, absolutely. Really but it's still, it's more, so because we're in finance, we're always looking at the news, and we kind of forget that, there's people just, carrying on with their lives. They'll only see this tonight. When they watch their evening news, because it happened at 11 o'clock last night. It's obviously not going to hit the headlines. People that watch it in the morning, they might react, but I think most of the reaction we'll see tomorrow. So I think we'll see lines outside petrol stations as people kind of start panic buying. Now, just talking about the stock. Yep, sorry, Howard.
No, you go ahead, Jonathan. I'll just make a comment afterwards as well.
Yeah. So the stock itself is going to get a nice hit. But I think that will be an opportunity to buy it. And the reason I do like it long term is that I just think energy has been mispriced. We've taken energy for granted for so long. We haven't rewarded the energy companies, it's been demonized. And even though we are trying to transition more to renewables, fossil fuels are still our baseload power, our very essential in terms of transport and things like that. And even if we chuck infinite amounts of money at it, it takes time to transition. So it just means that once the stock starts trading again, obviously there will be another hit, but then there will be an opportunity to buy into it. And because it's only one of two refineries that we have in Australia, it's essential infrastructure. And as Howard said, it runs on a ROE of 10%. But the thing is, I think going forward, it'll be more treated like a utility, an actual essential part of our economy going forward. And I think it'll get a re-rate from then on. So, yeah, I am bullish energy longer term. I think this Viva will take a hit initially, but there will be a buying opportunity in that, because I do think that energy has been too cheap for too long, and I think it'll re-rate on the bounce. So that's my sort of longer take on Viva.
Okay, so a buying opportunity, given it is most likely to take a hit, as you say, when it begins trading again. Howard, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, I agree with Jonathan that energy has been too cheap. And in fact, I'm old enough to remember the crisis in around 1973, the oil crisis, and the later one after 1979. And after 1973, where I lived in South Africa, all petrol stations were closed at lunchtime on a Friday and reopened Monday morning. And that was to stop you driving around on the weekends. The whole idea was don't drive down to the coast from the inland cities to go to the beach on the weekend. And all the talk around the world at that stage was, seeing as we're too reliant on the Saudis and OPEC and so on, what we've got to do is solve this problem by having nuclear energy, and we were going to build nuclear power stations, which would be much cheaper in the long term for energy all around the world. Then, of course, the oil crisis ended, and everybody went back to the same stupidity that we had before. And Australia's been particularly stupid in that we don't drill for oil anymore. We've got plenty of oil and gas in Victoria. We're not allowed to drill for it. We've got a huge oil field off the coast of Western Australia. They can't get permission to drill for it. And surprise, surprise, we now have a problem.
Yep, well, that's certainly venturing into political territory there as far as those decisions that have been made, but that's where we're at right now in terms of reality. All right, so that said though, it is a buy from Jonathan, whereas Howard, no, primarily because it doesn't pass their filters there.